Have you ever wanted to collect Blu-rays, but you don't know where to start? Well, here's where we're going to start with boutique labels. I know a lot of you out there, you hear the word boutique label, and it sounds pretty strange to be thinking about, well, they're movies. What's boutique about them exactly that feels like going to go shop at a specialty fashion store? And I know a lot of people out there, it probably sounds a lot like this. Oh, hey, hi, welcome to our movie store. We've got Scream Factory, Arrow Video, Severin. I know there's a release of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 on Vinegar Syndrome, but also it's on Arrow Video, and you can actually get it from the studio too, but I don't know if the studio release is actually all that good. Whoa, 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 whoa. Cool, I just came to pick up a copy of Halloween. I don't know how many releases there are out there of that. Yeah, well, totally. Actually, there's whoa, 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 whoa. So if you think of it like that, it's pretty hard to get into, but let's dive in and get to all of the boutique labels that you might run into when you're trying to collect Blu-rays for the first time. To start off, we've got the gold standards. These are the ones that everybody knows. You go in and you see those big, gigantic slipcovers, box sets, all of that, and we've got Scream Factory or Shout Factory, and then we've got Arrow Video. And these two fill a pretty similar role to each other. Arrow Video has a European section and a US section. Scream Factory / Shout Factory is a US based company. They get all of the licenses for horror movies, genre films. And so when you're looking at the differences between the two of them, a lot of the time they actually share stuff. Like with The Thing, their Arrow Video's transfer, they actually shared it with Scream Factory for their release because it was so damn good. And so with Arrow Video, you'll get some stuff like this set, which is The Thing, which is not available in the US. You can still buy it, obviously, but it won't play on your US Blu-ray players. It's only on region B, which is the European region. And so to get something like this, you'd have to get something from Arrow Video. Arrow Video's catalog is a lot wider and bigger than Scream Factory or Shout Factory's. And also, let's dive into what's the difference between Shout Factory and Scream Factory. Shout Factory is the company that owns Scream Factory. Scream Factory is a label of theirs, just like Shout Select or something like that, that's a sub-label of Shout Factory. And Scream Factory mainly deals with horror movies, 80s, 90s, 70s, 60s, whatever you can think of. Shout Factory usually has it. They have the big catalog titles like the Friday the 13th set here, Halloween, and hopefully at some point we get Nightmare on Elm Street from them or somebody else. But they usually get the big ticket ones like the studio labels and stuff like that, or the studio movies that don't want to put out excessive re-releases. Well, Shout Factory and Scream Factory do that for you. And they started doing 4Ks, so you can get beautiful 4K transfers of their Blu-rays and stuff like that. So really, when you're looking at the gold standard and the ones that you'll always see in either, big box stores or stuff like that, Best Buy carries Shout Factory. You might see Arrow Video titles at some bigger box stores, but they're a little bit lesser. Their online presence is larger. The other big boy on the marketplace when it comes to boutique labels that usually puts everybody else to shame is the Criterion Collection. This one has the Criterion name backing it. It has all of the extras, the beautiful transfer. You will never get a Criterion Collection release that is crappy. It just doesn't happen. Every Criterion release that I have, that I own, that I know people have watched, is fantastic. They own the Criterion channel, so that's their streaming service where they have certain movies streaming, and then they put them out on Blu-ray, 4K, and DVD as well. And so you'll get most of their packaging looks like this, where they have a beautiful cover, the Criterion logo, something very minimal on the side, nice minimal side label, and then of course all the backs look exactly like this, where they have the information, the paragraphs and stuff about it, and that tells you who directed it, who wrote it, who produced it, when it was produced, all of that. Criterion Collection really prides themselves on being a luxury, this is like the Rolls Royce of Blu-rays right here for Brazil. You can get just a normal old studio release, and by studio release I do mean from the studio. So you can get it from Paramount, from Universal, from whoever else made the movie. They'll usually put out a Blu-ray that's pretty lacking when it comes to special features. The transfer might not be great, but Criterion Collection puts a lot of work into restoring and repairing everything when it comes to these movies. They've done the Metropolis. I have a couple of others from Criterion Collection. They always do sales. Barnes & Noble always has a 50% off sale at some point for Criterion releases. And so they might be pricey. You might be paying $40 to $60 for a Blu-ray when it's not on sale, but it is definitely worth it if you love that movie. Next up, we have Synapse Films, and this is Frankenhooker from them. They focus more on horror movies and sort of porn and like smut films and stuff like that, but you have a nice catalog that comes with, and you can see everything that they put out. They do a lot of Blu-ray DVD combo packs as well, but they also do 4K releases. They have plenty of nice ones, but it's really just sort of you know, porn from the 70s and 80s and horror movies and kung fu movies and stuff like that. So they do a lot of crossover with Arrow Video and Shout Factory's releases, so you can get sort of a new take on the Blu-ray and stuff like that if you don't own it, or if you want to get something that's a little different than the Arrow Video or the Scream Factory one, you can get it with Synapse Films. Love their transfers. They usually do a really great job with their stuff, so if you haven't heard of them, check them out. Next up, we have one of my favorites. I only own 2 of their releases, but one of them was probably one of my favorite Blu-rays of all time. It's Eureka, their version of Fright Night, and then of course 976 Evil, which is great. They're really easy to find. They're almost always region free. This one is region B, however, it says it on the case, but it's actually region free. Same thing with their Fright Night release. They lie to you in a good way because, you know, they have to probably put that, but it's region free. They do the same thing where they have slip covers that have really nice art, and they also have nice art on the front, and they use these nice clear cases that are really cool. Separates them from the pack. And then of course you get disc art and you get new art and you get booklets and you get reversible covers. So they do a lot of the stuff that Scream Factory and Shout Factory and Arrow Video do, but they get titles they might not get from those places because they are a European company. So you can get stuff that you might not get in the US from Eureka, and they do a really good job with their transfers, with their extras and everything. And so I really like Eureka. I want to get more of their releases. Next up, we have some labels that do studio titles, but they do them in big box, sort of really cool releases that are collector's editions. And so here's the one from Highlander from Studio Canal. And I've shown this before, but this is an excellent release that is, for fans of Highlander, a dream come true. It's one of these, and it comes with all the discs, it comes with a bunch of goodies, it comes with pins, it comes with a booklet, it comes with the script sometimes. They do a lot of older films. They don't really have a sort of genre specialty like some of the other boutique labels out there do, but Studio Canal does a really great job with their transfers, with their packaging. They do also do standard edition releases, so you can get this edition of Highlander. If you can't find the special edition, you can get some of the same special features, just not a lot of the physical stuff or the packaging. It's an excellent company, and a lot of these companies, they put in great work so that you're getting what you're paying for. So you're paying an extra fee to get Highlander on 4K and get a beautiful transfer and get nice special features, but you're paying a premium for it. So if you want something that's a little less expensive, you might want to skip out on Studio Canal, but if you love the movies that they put out, you'll love their releases. Another one that's an Australian company is Imprint. So this one is very expensive if you don't live in Australia because you have to import it, but a lot of the time their releases are well worth it, especially this one of The Warriors, which was the only Blu-ray release to contain the director's cut and the theatrical cut. So if you don't like the director's cut with all the comic book stuff, you get the theatrical cut here for the first time on Blu-ray. And this is an amazing release from Imprint. It's got a beautiful box. It's nice, and if you watch my channel, you know I love boxes. I love doing the squish test, and look at that. Does not bend very much, just unlike some other boxes from these boutique labels. So you get a beautiful release with slip covers, or not slip covers, reversible artwork. You get a backing card that has all the information, and then of course you get beautiful artwork on the inside, you get disc art, you get everything with this. Imprint really does a great job. It's just that their stuff is expensive. It's hard to get. Limited in some capacity. You can get standard editions of this, but this special edition is not available any longer. But you know, if you sit on it, or you go to some websites like Diabolic DVD or elsewhere out there, you can order these. They are a little bit of a premium, but if you can get your hands on them, they're well worth it. And Imprint does great work with a lot of their stuff. I know they're putting out a Walter Hill set that I have my eye on. We've talked about some more expensive boutique labels. Well, let's talk about one that's a little bit more on the budget side. We've got Mill Creek. And Mill Creek does a lot of TV. They do a lot of older 80s, 90s television shows, and they do a magnificent job at what they do because they get the show on Blu-ray. There's no frills. Might be some nice box and art on the front, but there's no frills when it comes to special features that are already available on DVD or whatever. But they get the music. You have the licensed music in Miami Vice, which is a big portion of why Miami Vice is awesome. On their Quantum Leap set, you have all the original music as well. And so they do a fantastic job of just getting the show available on Blu-ray for people to watch, and it's all in one place. And so it's not that expensive. You can get this Miami Vice set for pretty cheap. You can get this Quantum Leap set for pretty cheap. You can get a lot of their other sets that are very, very affordable, and you get everything. You just get the show and you can watch it. And so there's a lot of value in that. There's a lot of value in being able to just own all of Miami Vice and say, hey, guess what? I want to watch, you know, all of season 3 of Miami Vice right now. Just put it on in the background. Well, you can if you buy the Mill Creek set. Mill Creek is awesome. You're not getting the frills of collector stuff with them, but you are getting the actual product, which is always nice. Another one that's a little more on the budget side, a budget-friendly sort of boutique label, is it's kind of cheating because it kind of crosses over with a studio. A lot of these are Lionsgate titles, but Vestron Video. If you want the Scream Factory, Arrow Video sort of experience when it comes to special features, slip covers, everything like that, you get Vestron Video. You can find these. They usually retail for like $30, but a lot of places always have them on sale. And they have horror movies, they have genre films, sci-fi, action from the 80s, 70s, and 90s, and up to the 2000s with some of them. And they are just one of the newcomers. They're not relatively new. I think they started in about 2017, and they have about 40 titles now. But you can get all of them for almost $15 at some places. They always put out new releases. This is the Dentist Collection, and you can get something like this, which comes with 2 movies. You can get something like their Warlock Collection, which comes with 4 movies. And it's $15, and you get plenty of extras. You get a really, really sick transfer. You get awesome slip covers. You just get the total package with them. And Vestron Video is very quickly becoming one of my favorite boutique labels that I know a lot of people know about, but they might not know how awesome they are. And it just reminds you of the video store. And so that's the kind of whole thing about this, is that it's the video store experience of a movie that might not be the best thing in the world, but you'll watch it, it'll be entertaining, you'll get to watch the special features, you'll love it, and you won't have to pay too much for it. Finishing up with that sort of studio label, I know we're talking about boutique labels and studios go, ugh, but Paramount Presents really picks up the pace for studio releases. A lot of these studio releases that we have these days are the movie on Blu-ray with a trailer or whatever, and it's not anything special, but Paramount Presents takes older movies in the Paramount catalog and updates them in beautiful HD. You get a beautiful, beautiful new transfer of 48 hours with this one, and they have really cool packaging. You get this fold out that looks like a centerfold of the poster, and you get a slipcover, and then you get the case with a nice clear case that looks cool on your shelf. And then, of course, oh my God, you have disc art. You have disc art and you have art on the inside. For a studio release, this is magnificent because I know a lot of them out there have that ugly, you know, blue with just the title. And so to see this from a studio, from Paramount, Paramount does a great job with their releases. And like Vestron Video, they do hook you with the number on the side there, so you can get a numbered collection of Paramount Presents titles. But they have a wide range of stuff here. You get action movies, horror movies, old classic catalog titles from the 20s and 30s. And so you really get everything here with Paramount Presents. They're relatively new on the block, but they do a great job of giving you movies that you might not see or that you haven't seen in a long ass time. Finally, we go with my personal favorite boutique label, and I know a lot of people out there, this is their favorites as well. We have Vinegar Syndrome. Vinegar Syndrome captures the essence of being in a video store as a kid or whatever and not knowing anything. And so that's why I love Vinegar Syndrome, because obviously we know what Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is, but you might not know something like what From Beyond is, or you know, Red Surf, something like that. Some weird, just genre films from the 80s and 90s, and they do everything. They have a studio title like this, they have Roadhouse, and then they have shot on video stuff from the 90s that you've never heard of that's actually pretty awesome. And so their transfers are always just A+. Their extras packages are always A+. If they're upgrading something to 4K, they're doing it for a reason. They're not like Shout Factory and Scream Factory, where they kind of rest on their laurels by putting stuff out on 4K. I know the Halloween sets had some extra stuff and made it worth it. The new Chucky sets sort of do that as well. But a lot of their other stuff is just a port from Blu-ray to 4K. Not the same thing with Vinegar Syndrome. You get new extras all the time. You get excellent packaging. You get, some cases, a double slipcover. You get a box and a slipcover that's always awesome. They have in-jokes with collectors. They have April Fool's Day jokes. And they are continually putting new titles out. They always have sales. Look at the back. Just take a look at that. This is the list of special features for a movie. The special features list is longer than the general description of who's in the movie, what the movie's about, and what Roger Ebert said about it. That is a sight to behold and will tell you everything you need to know about Vinegar Syndrome. Now, some of their releases don't have cover artwork or reversible cover artwork because it is a 4K and so you can't see through the case because it's black. But this one has a Blu-ray, 4K, and extras disc and everything all under the sun that you would need. And they always come with beautiful slipcovers. You know they're coming from a place of love. They are limited releases. On some of them, you can get like one of 1,000, one of 5,000. And they do a great job. They have great box sets as well. If you're buying a Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray or DVD or 4K, you know you're getting something great. They do a lot of smut and sort of softcore porn as well, but they do a lot of genre stuff. That's mainly what they get from there. And they have a bunch of partner labels as well. They have VS Presents, and they have a bunch of other stuff you can check out on their website. Vinegar Syndrome, by far, is my favorite boutique label, but there's plenty of others out there. There's Kino Lorber, which I don't own any titles from, but they have a massive library of titles. There's some other ones that people have suggested. There's Indicator, which I had never heard of before. I made a YouTube post about it. People have told me that seems like an awesome label. There's Second Sight. There's plenty of others. There's Severin. There's millions, hundreds of boutique labels out there. What are some of your favorites? Let me know in the comments what your favorite is. I know there's others like 101 Films with their release of Ghost Watch, which is absolutely awesome that I'd never heard of before. There's plenty of others out there that do great work on restoring movies and making it so that we can watch these movies and have a great time doing so with an excellent transfer and some special features added in. But if you're going through the list of boutique labels here that we have, it starts with Arrow Video and Scream and Shout Factory and goes all the way down to the bottom. And that's not to say that any of these are better or worse than others, just there's a lot of them and they all do great work. So if you want some Blu-ray collecting tips, like more like this, maybe you should check out this video and you can see just what it'll take to make you some money on your collection.